Now, you might recall from Clothing Instruction 1 when we did the little paper alterations where we did something called close the dart. If you take a straight skirt that's been drafted, you can add flare by closing the dart. And you would have done that in Clothing Construction 1. You might have talked about it in pattern drafting. None of you guys had pattern drafting with me, so I don't know if this was discussed at all, but I'm going to show you now that if you took a straight skirt pattern and you cut the skirt up to the end of the dart and you cut through the dart close to the end, but you just leave a little bit of it attached, adding flare to the skirt is really taking away the dart. You could leave a dart and have it in the skirt, and you could come over and you could add flare over here, but it just doesn't look as nice as if you remove the dart. So if I take and I fold that dart over itself, what happens, I'm going to put a weight on here to hold it. What happens is you'll notice how much this opened up. So you automatically added the amount that was at the waist, moving it down. So if we were to look here to here, it's about the same size as the dart, but it continues to get bigger the longer the skirt gets. So if you wanted to make a flared skirt from a pattern that you drafted, this is how you would do it. I think it's important to think about, like when we were working on bodices, we talked about the placement of darts. And, you know, darts can be moved anywhere. Some places look better than others, but you can move the darts around by slashing and doing the same thing. You slash and you spread. Again, that's something that is part of really understanding pattern drafting. And so here, after you did that, you would make sure that you true up the waist so that it's nice and curved there. And then you would come along here, and you don't draw a straight line. You're going to get a curved ruler, and you're going to curve that hem so that it has a nice soft shape. We don't want it to be like pointy there. So I need a bigger, you need a bigger curved ruler, but you can see if you came over here, how you start to add the curve to it. So here's what your pattern should wind up looking like. Here's your center front placed on fold, and you can see your waistline actually has a curve, and so does the hip over here a little bit, and then it straightens out as it comes down. And you can see that your hem is curved. Your hip balance line, you can see how that did dip down instead of going straight across and square. And make sure that you mark the center front, cut on fold, and you can also use that line for grain line if you like. I've put the bias on here, the true bias, but you don't need to unless you think that you want to add it, because if I was cutting it so that my grain line was on the center, it would be placed like this. But if I was cutting it on my fabric, I would turn it on the grain this way, and I would run my bias lengthwise, and that would give me even more rippling to the skirt. And then here's our back pattern. Make sure that you mark that for the zipper, and make sure you're using notches on everything. You can see the sideways notch or the side seam notch is a double, the back is a triple. And mark your hem, mark your all your seam allowances. So and then sew your sample.